All right, strap yourselves in because we're diving deep today into some pretty wild stuff. You guys requested it, the book of Revelation
Oh, yeah,
and
Revelation.
those famous prophecies.
That's right. Lots of
I have to admit, some of the interpretations out there can get
vivid imagery for sure.
intense, like a
Cryptic message.
spiritual disaster movie or something.
Definitely a history of interpretations. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to try to break this down.
Yeah.
We're going to break down some of the core ideas in these prophecies.
Sounds good.
See what they might mean, even if, you're not a Bible scholar.
That's right.
Sort of like extracting the signal from the noise.
I like that.
You know.
Even if you don't take the prophecies literally.
Yeah.
They offer powerful metaphors, I think.
Yeah.
Helped you understand human nature, some of the challenges we face.
Okay. Yeah.
Challenges we face.
Cool. So to give everyone some context, Revelation is structured around these 7 seals.
7 seals.
Each one sort of unleashes a new layer of chaos and upheaval.
We're going to focus on the first 4 today.
Okay.
The white horse, the red horse, the black horse, and the pale horse.
And it's interesting how these horses, I think, represent different facets of human experience. Leadership,
Yeah.
conflict, scarcity, and even our own mortality.
Right.
Pretty relevant stuff.
Pretty relevant, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's jump into that white horse.
Okay.
This mysterious rider, it's called the Conqueror.
Conqueror.
The text describes this rider going out to conquer, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
He's got a bow, but he's got no arrows.
That's interesting.
What do you make of that?
Yeah, that is one of those details that makes you think.
Yeah.
Suggests that his power might not be in physical force, but in persuasion, manipulation,
Right.
perhaps even propaganda. It's like a psychological conquest, not necessarily a physical one.
I see. It makes me think about those charismatic leaders who sort of emerge. You see them throughout history.
Yeah.
Promising all these solutions.
Right.
But maybe
Big promises.
ulterior motives.
Right. Yeah.
Think about figures like, well, I probably shouldn't name any names, but
Yeah. But
the type,
yeah.
they just captivate people.
Yeah.
Huge audiences. But those promises, they don't always,
Often fall short.
they fall short.
Yeah. The white horse reminds us that charisma doesn't equal integrity.
Right.
And Revelation actually uses this really interesting term, false prophets.
Oh, wow.
Those who appear harmless, but are actually wolves in sheep's clothing.
Wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's a very powerful image.
Right.
And it's not just historical figures. We see this in our everyday life.
Oh, absolutely.
In the media, marketing.
All the time.
Even personal relationships.
Absolutely.
Right.
This prophecy, I think, encourages us to develop discernment.
Discernment.
To look beyond the surface and question the motives
Mm.
of those who are seeking to influence us.
Okay.
Whether it's a politician,
Right.
a celebrity, even a friend.
Interesting. The source material also mentions that the rider gets a crown,
Oh, yeah.
which is a pretty classic symbol of authority.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder, what kind of authority?
Right.
Is it earned? Is it self-serving?
It's a question that goes to the heart of leadership.
Yeah.
Is true authority rooted in service, in a desire to uplift others?
Right.
Or is it about dominance and control?
Mm.
The white horse, I think, challenges us to consider those sources of authority in our own lives.
Yeah.
And even the impact of our own pursuits of power.
I've got to admit that's making me think about some choices I've made. Right? Have I ever compromised, my own values just to get ahead? It's a tough question.
It is.
It's a tough question to ask ourselves, but it seems like Revelation's prompting that kind of self-reflection.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
The white horse and its rider aren't just about some distant figure.
Right.
I think they represent a timeless struggle, within ourselves and within society.
Okay.
It's about the seductive nature of power.
Right.
And the importance of using influence wisely.
Okay, let's move on to the red horse then.
Right.
And its rider, war.
War.
Yeah, things definitely escalate here.
Oh, yeah.
The text is pretty explicit. Peace is shattered. Violence erupts.
Right.
The rider carries a sword.
Yeah.
Symbolizing bloodshed and conflict.
Yeah, classic symbol.
Seems pretty straightforward.
On the surface level, yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely the most visceral,
Okay.
I think, of the 4 horsemen. But, the source material goes beyond just these external battles.
And I see.
It also points to the internal wars
Okay.
that we wage within ourselves.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's like the anxieties, fears, and resentments we all carry around. It's like we're fighting these battles within ourselves that can be just as destructive as any physical conflict, right?
It's so easy to let those internal battles consume us, especially in a world, that's constantly bombarding us with information pressures.
Right.
And what Revelation seems to be saying is that these internal conflicts, they can spill over
Right.
into our relationships
Yeah.
and the world around us.
Yeah, and the source material connects the writer's sword to the power of our words, suggesting that even our language,
Words can cut deep, right?
can be a weapon. You ever said something in the heat of the moment and later regretted it?
Oh, of course. Who hasn't? I think we all have.
Yeah.
We all have those moments where we let our emotions get the best of us and our words cause real pain. Revelation is reminding us, I think, to be mindful of how we use language.
Yeah.
To recognize that even seemingly small words can have a big impact.
Yeah. It's like the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Right.
Not really true, is it?
I don't think so.
Words can leave scars.
They can.
Lasting scars.
Yeah. And the Red Horse challenges us to consider how we might be contributing to conflict, both internally and externally.
Right.
Are we holding on to anger and resentment? Are we speaking carelessly?
Yeah.
Fueling division rather than fostering understanding?
It's a wake-up call for sure.
It is.
To be more mindful of our thoughts, our words, our actions.
Absolutely.
And it also highlights how fragile peace really is.
It is fragile.
It's not something that just happens. It requires constant effort.
It does.
Forgiveness.
It does. A willingness to see other perspectives.
Yeah. The Red Horse is a stark reminder of the destructive power of conflict.
Yeah.
Both within ourselves and in the world around us. It calls us, I think, to cultivate inner peace.
Inner peace.
And to be peacemakers in our relationships, our communities.
All right. Next up is the Black Horse, bringing with it
Black Horse?
famine.
Yeah.
Imbalance.
Imbalance.
And this one feels especially relevant, I think, given...
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What we see in the world today with economic inequality.
It's uncanny, isn't it?
Right.
How these ancient prophecies seem to echo contemporary challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, the source material describes a world where basic necessities become scarce.
Yeah.
Where some struggle to survive while others are hoarding wealth and luxury.
Paints a pretty bleak picture. And it uses the word famine in a way that suggests it's not just about lack of food, but lack of something essential.
Deeper.
For survival, resources, opportunities, even a sense of purpose.
That's a really insightful point.
Yeah.
It makes me think about the growing gap.
Right.
Between the rich and the poor.
Yeah.
The increasing cost of living.
Yeah.
The sense that many people feel like they're just barely getting by.
It's like the system is rigged against them, creating the spiritual famine.
Yeah.
People are starved for meaning, opportunity.
Exactly. And the Black Horse challenges us. It challenges us to consider our own relationship to wealth and scarcity.
Yeah.
Are we hoarding resources while others go without?
Right.
Are we chasing after material possessions?
Right.
At the expense of our spiritual well-being?
It's like that old saying, money can't buy happiness. But sometimes it feels like,
right.
Our culture is obsessed with just accumulating wealth.
Accumulating it.
Even if it comes at the cost of our values, our relationships.
It's a seductive trap. And Revelation's warning us, be careful not to fall into it.
Yeah.
The Black Horse reminds us that true sustenance comes from something deeper than material possessions. It's about cultivating a sense of inner abundance, finding meaning and purpose beyond just the pursuit of wealth.
Okay, so I've got the white horse,
right,
representing false leadership, red horse, conflict, black horse, scarcity, imbalance.
Right.
What's interesting is how each one seems to build on the previous one, creating this downward spiral.
Like a downward spiral. It's like each horse represents a different stage, I think.
Yeah.
In the erosion of society and the human spirit.
Yeah.
And it all culminates in the arrival of the most daunting raider of all.
Yeah.
The pale horse.
The pale horse, whose name is death.
And this is where things get
real.
Real, yeah. Yeah. The source material doesn't hold back on the imagery at all.
Nope.
We've got a skeletal rider, Hades, trailing close behind, symbolizing, that ultimate end.
Right.
The inevitable.
We all face it.
That awaits us all.
That's right.
Right. It's a stark reminder of
mortality.
Our mortality, something that, a lot of us
we don't like to think about it.
Don't like to think about.
But Revelation forces us to confront this ultimate reality.
It's not just physical death, right?
No, it's not.
It seems like the pale horse also represents the destruction that we as humans inflict on ourselves.
Right. Through or disease. Or just environmental damage.
Environmental damage.
All those things.
It's a sobering thought.
Yeah.
Are we living in a way that honors life?
Right.
Or are we contributing to a pale horse reality?
Through our choices.
Through our choices and our actions.
It's a tough question.
This is a tough question.
But I think that's what Revelation is trying to make us think about.
I think so, too.
Right.
It's like a mirror reflecting back
the
consequences of our collective choices.
And I think that's a good place to pause.
Yes. Let all this sink in for a bit.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
To process.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've explored these 4 horsemen. Pretty intense imagery.
Yeah.
But it's not all about just shock value, right?
Right. There's got to be a deeper meaning here.
Yeah, like what's the takeaway?
Yeah, Revelation uses these vivid images to convey, I think, profound spiritual truths.
Okay.
It's like watching a cosmic drama unfold, shaking the foundations of everything we think we know.
And that's where we pick up in this section, right? The source material describes this global earthquake.
Yeah, an earthquake.
That's so powerful. It shakes the foundations of the earth.
Mountains are crumbling.
Mountains crumble, islands disappear.
Yeah, the whole shebang.
Yeah, the whole shebang.
It's a cataclysmic event, a symbol, I think, of upheaval on a grand scale.
Yeah.
And I think it's meant to make us question what we consider to be stable,
Okay.
and secure in our lives.
Yeah. We talk about feeling shaken or uncertain in our personal lives, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
When we go through a big life change or face a challenge, that throws us off balance.
That's a great connection. And what Revelation seems to be suggesting is that these personal experiences of upheaval are reflections of a larger cosmic drama.
Oh, okay.
That's playing out.
So it's like our individual lives are microcosms of what's happening on a global scale.
Precisely. And the source material really emphasizes this, that nothing in this world is truly permanent or secure.
Yeah.
Everything we rely on, possessions, our status, even the natural order of things, it can all be shaken to the core.
Okay, that's a little unsettling. So where are we supposed to find security then?
Right.
In the middle of all this chaos? I mean, it's like the rug is being pulled out from under us.
That's where faith comes in.
Okay.
The source material points to this idea that even when everything seems to be falling apart, there's a higher power, a divine presence that remains unshaken.
It's like that image of a lighthouse.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Standing firm in the middle of a storm.
Right.
Offers a sense of hope and direction.
Exactly. And the source material connects this to the idea of building our lives on a solid foundation.
Right.
It actually quotes a passage from the Gospel of Matthew.
Okay.
Where Jesus talks about the wise man who built his house on the rock.
Oh, yeah. The parable of the wise and foolish builders, right?
Exactly.
I remember that one.
The house on the rock withstands the storm, while the house on the sand collapses.
Exactly.
And that's the metaphor Revelation's using here.
Okay.
It's about building our lives on a foundation of faith, trust in a higher power, and alignment with our deepest values.
I see.
Because when the storms of life come, and they will come, that's what will keep us grounded.
Makes sense. But let's be real. This global earthquake, it's a pretty terrifying image, right?
It is.
The source material describes even, kings and commanders.
Yeah, running for cover.
Begging the mountains to hide them.
Right, from God's wrath.
It's like even the most powerful people in the world are powerless in the face of this.
Yeah, it's a powerful image that I think highlights this idea that no one is exempt from the consequences of their actions.
Okay.
No matter how rich, powerful, influential we may be, we're all accountable to a higher standard.
So it's like a cosmic leveling of the playing field. Everyone is equal.
Yeah, and it challenges us to consider how we're using our power and our influence in the world.
Okay.
Are we contributing to the kind of chaos and destruction that Revelation's describing? Or are we working towards a more just and compassionate world?
Right, and then there's that detail about the moon turning blood red. and the stars falling from the sky.
Right, the cosmic signs.
It's like the fabric of the cosmos is unraveling.
They're definitely meant to evoke a sense of awe and wonder, but also a sense of foreboding. It's like a disruption of the natural order of things.
Yeah.
A sign that something profound is shifting.
Makes me think of those times in our lives where everything feels like it's falling apart.
Yeah, like a personal earthquake.
Right. Our routines are disrupted, our beliefs are challenged, we're forced to confront the unknown.
That's a great parallel. And what Revelation seems to be suggesting is that those moments of personal upheaval, they can also be opportunities.
Okay.
For growth and transformation.
So it's not just about the world ending, it's about the world as we know it, ending and making way for something new.
Precisely. And the source material emphasizes the importance of being spiritually prepared for these shifts.
Yeah.
Not in a doomsday prepper kind of way,
Right.
but in the sense of cultivating inner resilience, a connection to something greater than ourselves.
It's like that saying, the only constant is change, right?
Yeah.
Revelation seems to be suggesting we need to be adaptable, open to new possibilities, and willing to let go of what's no longer serving us.
And that brings us to one of the most intriguing and debated aspects of Revelation, the mark of the beast.
Yeah, this one's pretty mysterious.
It is, yeah.
The source material describes this mark that people are forced to take.
Right, like
to participate in society.
Right, to buy and sell goods.
Right, to buy and sell goods. It sounds like a conspiracy theory almost.
Yeah, it's definitely sparked a lot of interpretations, a lot of speculation over the centuries. But I think the core message is about spiritual allegiance.
Okay.
It's about the choices we make, the systems we align ourselves with.
Right.
And the potential consequences of those choices.
So it's not necessarily about a literal mark on the forehead or hand, but more of a symbolic representation of where our loyalties lie.
Exactly. And the source material draws a lot of parallels to the pressures we face in modern society.
Yeah.
To conform, to compromise our values, to go along with the crowd, just to fit in,
Right. Or to succeed.
It makes me think about those times where I felt pressure to do something that just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Whether it's at work, in a social setting, even in my own family.
Right. It's like that internal struggle between staying true to ourselves and conforming to these external expectations.
And it seems like the source material is suggesting that there's a cost.
There is.
To aligning ourselves with these systems that are based on greed, exploitation.
The pursuit of power at the expense of others.
Exactly. And that brings us to that infamous number.
Oh, yeah.
Associated with the beast, 666.
Yeah, that's become like a pop culture icon, right?
For sure.
For evil and the Antichrist.
Yeah.
But what does it actually mean?
There's been endless debate of its specific meaning, but I think the source material is using it as a symbol of a system that opposes the divine. A system that's built on human ambition, worldly power.
I see.
Rather than spiritual principles.
So it's not about a literal number,
but
a representation of a way of being.
That's
out of alignment.
Out of alignment, with our higher purpose.
And it's a reminder that we need to be discerning about the systems we participate in.
Absolutely.
The values that we endorse.
Absolutely.
The impact our choices have on ourselves and the world around us.
I agree. I think that's a really good point. And then things get even more intense, I think.
Yeah.
The sounding of the trumpets.
Yeah, the trumpets.
Yeah, the source material describes these trumpet blasts.
Right.
Each one heralding a new wave of judgment and destruction upon the earth.
It's like a symphony of chaos.
Yeah, we got hail and fire mixed with blood raining down.
Wow.
A third of the earth being burned up, the seas turning to blood.
It's rough.
Rivers being polluted, darkness covering the land.
Yeah, it's a pretty grim picture.
It is. It's like this cascade of ecological disasters, one after another.
It makes you think about all the environmental challenges that we're facing today, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Climate change,
pollution,
deforestation.
All those consequences of human action, that are impacting the planet.
Right, and it seems like the source material is trying to highlight that interconnectedness.
Absolutely.
All things. The interconnectedness,
How our actions have these ripple effects that extend way beyond ourselves.
For sure.
So it's not just about individual judgment.
Right. It's about the collective consequences of our choices as a species.
Exactly. The trumpets are like this wake-up call, I think. A reminder that we need to take responsibility for our impact on the planet and each other.
Okay, but it's not all doom and gloom, though, is it? I mean, even in the middle of these trumpet blasts.
No, it's not.
There's a sense that this is also a call to repentance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. A chance to change course.
It is a chance to change. The source material emphasizes that the trumpets aren't just about punishment.
Okay.
But about purification. It's like a divine intervention, I think, a shaking of the foundations to get our attention, to remind us what truly matters,
right,
and to encourage us to turn back towards a path of righteousness.
Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to bounce back.
Yeah.
And maybe these trumpet blasts are kind of a symbolic representation of us hitting rock bottom.
That's a good way to put it.
As a species, forcing us to reevaluate our priorities and make a change.
And the source material suggests that even in the midst of judgment, there's always that possibility of redemption, transformation.
A new beginning.
A new beginning. And so we've got these trumpets blaring.
Yeah.
The earth is in chaos.
Yeah.
And then we get this image of Babylon,
yeah,
the great prostitute falling from grace.
Right. And Babylon has always been the symbol of excess corruption.
Exactly. In Revelation, Babylon represents that system.
Yeah.
That opposes the divine. A system that's built on worldly power, greed, materialism.
Right. And it doesn't hold back on the detail. Babylon's described as a city of extravagance, right? A center of commerce and trade.
Right. But also a place of moral decay, spiritual emptiness. It's a city that seduces with promises of wealth, pleasure, power, but ultimately leads to destruction. And the fall of Babylon, it's described in vivid detail. It's sudden catastrophic collapse, like a house of cards collapsing.
Like what goes up must come down.
Right.
Revelation seems to be saying that any system that's built on that foundation of greed and exploitation is ultimately unsustainable.
Unsustainable, yeah.
And the fall of Babylon is kind of a warning.
It is a warning.
To those who put their trust in worldly power, material possessions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's also, a cause for celebration.
Yeah, right.
For those who remain faithful to their spiritual principles.
It's a victory for good over evil.
Yeah, a sign that ultimately truth and justice will prevail.
Right in the middle of all this upheaval.
Yeah.
We get this glimpse of these two mysterious figures, these two witnesses.
And two witnesses.
Oh, these guys.
They're enigmatic figures described as prophets who speak truth to power, they perform miracles, and they challenge the forces of evil.
They represent like a spiritual resistance movement.
I think they do, yeah, even in the face of, overwhelming opposition.
So they're like the rebels, the underdogs fighting for what's right?
I think so.
Even when all hope seems lost?
Even when all hope seems lost. And their story takes a dramatic turn. They're killed by the beast. Their bodies are left exposed as a spectacle, of triumph for the forces of evil. But then after 3.5 days, they are resurrected.
They come back.
Proving God's ultimate power over death and evil.
It's a pretty powerful image. It's like a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always hope.
Always hope.
That truth and justice
will
ultimately prevail.
It's a message of resilience, perseverance, and the triumph of the human spirit.
Yeah.
Even in the face of, seemingly insurmountable challenges.
And as those two witnesses ascend into heaven, we get another earthquake.
Another earthquake setting the stage.
Setting the stage for the final showdown.
Yeah, between good and evil.
The tension is building.
It is building.
Right.
But before we get to that grand finale, there's one more image that I think is really important to focus on. The New Jerusalem.
Right. The New Jerusalem. This is where Revelation shifts, right?
It does.
From all that apocalyptic imagery to a vision of hope, restoration.
Exactly.
Right.
The New Jerusalem is described as this radiant city. Descending from heaven, a place of perfect beauty, harmony, and peace.
It's like a utopia, a vision of a world transformed.
Right, where all the pain, the suffering, injustice of the old world is washed away.
It represents the ultimate fulfillment, right?
Yeah, of God's promises, the culmination of the spiritual journey.
Right.
A place where all those who have remained faithful will find eternal joy and communion with the divine.
And it's a powerful reminder, isn't it, that even in the midst of all the chaos and uncertainty,
it is.
There's this greater plan unfolding.
A purpose.
A purpose that transcends our limited understanding.
It's a message of hope, a vision of a future that's worth striving for. A reminder that even when things seem bleak, there's always the possibility of renewal and transformation.
I think we need to pause here, take a breath.
Yeah.
It's been a whirlwind of imagery and symbolism and spiritual insights.
It is a lot to process.
Yeah.
But I think we've covered a lot of ground, and I think we're well on our way to understanding the deeper meaning of Revelation. And its relevance to our lives today.
Man, we've been through a lot, huh? White horses, red horses, trumpets, earthquakes, a city called Babylon.
Revelation keeps things interesting.
It does. It really does. Definitely doesn't shy away from those dramatic images. But I feel like there's got to be more to it than just, the spectacle.
Absolutely. Revelation can seem overwhelming, even a bit bleak at times.
Right.
But ultimately, it's meant to be a message of hope. And encouragement.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that now. Things might get really rough.
Yeah.
But there's this overarching theme of, resilience, of a new beginning.
Right.
Like with the New Jerusalem, sort of a cosmic reset.
Exactly. And it's not just about passively waiting for that new beginning.
Right.
Revelation's also a call to action.
Okay.
An invitation to live differently in the present, to be a force for good in the world, even as we anticipate the future.
So how do we do that? It's easy to feel powerless when we look at, the state of the world. Conflicts.
It is.
Economic instability, climate change, all these challenges that seem unsurmountable.
I hear you. It's easy to get overwhelmed. But the source material, I think, offers some guidance on how to navigate these turbulent times. Emphasizes the importance of staying connected, connected to something greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
Whether that's through prayer, meditation, spending time in nature, or engaging in acts of service.
So it's about strengthening our spiritual foundation.
I think so.
Deepening our connection to something that gives us that meaning, purpose.
Right.
So we're not just swept away by the chaos.
Exactly. It's about cultivating inner resilience.
Inner resilience.
So that we can be a source of strength, stability for ourselves and for others.
And it's also about taking action in the world, right?
Absolutely.
Not just retreating into our own little bubbles.
Right.
But actually engaging.
Right. Engaging with the challenges that we face.
Right.
The source material highlights the importance of caring for those in need.
Right.
Speaking up for justice, being a voice for the voiceless.
Yeah.
Working towards a more compassionate and equitable world.
It's about recognizing that we're not just passive observers in this cosmic drama, but actually active participants.
Yeah, we have the power.
Who have the power to make a difference.
To make a difference. And it doesn't have to be these grand gestures,
Right.
It can be those small acts of kindness.
Right.
The simple choices we make each day.
Yeah.
To live in alignment with our values.
Okay.
To be a source of light and hope in our own little corner of the world.
I was talking to a friend the other day who was feeling really discouraged.
Yeah.
About the state of the world. And we were talking about how easy it is.
Oh, it's so easy.
To get caught up in all the negativity.
Yeah.
To feel like our actions don't really matter.
Yeah.
But then we started talking about all the amazing people we know who are doing incredible work.
Right. Volunteer.
Supporting important causes.
Raising awareness about the things they care about.
It was like, okay, maybe there is hope.
There is.
Maybe those small acts of kindness and courage really can make a difference.
It's a beautiful story. And it speaks to the power of community, I think.
Yeah.
Of coming together to support each other and work towards that shared vision of a better world. Revelation is full of images of community, the gathering of the saints, New Jerusalem as this city of unity and belonging.
Right.
It's a reminder that we're not meant to go through this journey alone.
We need each other.
We need each other.
Yeah.
And it brings us back to those two witnesses we were talking about.
Yeah, the two witnesses.
There were an unlikely pair.
Right.
Dressed in sackcloth. Not exactly flashy or powerful in the worldly sense. But their strength came from their unwavering commitment, I think.
Yeah.
To speaking truth and standing up for what they believed in.
Even when it was dangerous.
Even when it was dangerous. They're a powerful example of moral courage. Of living with integrity even in the face of opposition.
So even if we feel small or insignificant, we can still be a force for good just by living out our values.
Absolutely.
Speaking up for what we believe in.
I think so. Who knows? Maybe our small acts of courage and compassion will inspire others to do the same.
Yeah.
Create that ripple effect that spreads outward.
Yeah.
Bringing light and hope into the world.
A ripple effect of kindness and courage. I love that.
Yeah.
It's a good antidote to all that negative stuff we see in the news and on social media.
It's a reminder that we have the power to choose what kind of story we want to tell with our lives, what kind of world we want to create.
Well, this deep dive into Revelation has been
It has.
Quite a journey. We've gone from white horses to red horses to trumpets and earthquakes, and we ended up
in the New Jerusalem.
In the New Jerusalem. It's been intense. It's been thought-provoking.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately hopeful.
I agree. Revelation, while often interpreted through a lens of fear and judgment, is ultimately a message of resilience, transformation, and the enduring power of the human spirit.
So for our listeners who requested this deep dive into Revelation, I hope it's been worth it, a chance to, explore some big questions.
Big questions.
Grapple with complex ideas, and maybe even find some inspiration, some hope.
Of hope.
In the midst of all the chaos.
Yeah, and if there's one thing we hope you take away from all of this, it's that Revelation is not a book to be feared, but a book to be engaged with.
Right.
To be wrestled with.
Yeah.
To be a catalyst for deeper reflection on your own life, your values, and your place in the world.
Well said. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep living with purpose.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Revelation.